The iPhone 17 lineup might just be the weirdest iPhone lineup Apple has ever released, and honestly, I don't think I'm exaggerating. Every single model in this lineup looks completely different from the rest, which is pretty unusual for Apple. Normally, there's a common design language that ties all the models together, but this time, it's all over the place. A ton of new leaks just dropped, and they're painting a picture of a lineup that feels more fragmented than ever. Let's start with what is probably the most interesting and unique iPhone 17 model, the iPhone 17 Air. If you've been following all the leaks and rumors, you probably already know that this is going to be Apple's thinnest iPhone ever, coming in at a jaw-dropping 5.5 millimeters. That's insanely thin, even compared to some of the slimmest phones we've seen in the past. When we originally saw leaks about this phone, all we knew was that it would have a single camera module placed right in the center of the back. With that limited information, early concept designs kept things pretty minimal, just a single lens, a clean back, and a sleek aluminum body. But then new details about the iPhone 17 Pro models started emerging, and that's where things took a turn. The leaks revealed a major design shift for the Pro models, featuring a Google Pixel-style camera visor instead of the typical camera bump we've seen on previous iPhones. That made a lot of us speculate that Apple might unify the design language across the lineup, meaning the iPhone 17 Air would likely adopt a similar look. And sure enough, not long after that, the first leaked images of the iPhone 17 Air's back surfaced, showing a very similar rectangular camera visor. The only difference, it had a single camera instead of three. That leak came at the end of January, and since then, even more design details have started to trickle in. One of the latest leaks includes what appears to be an iPhone 17 Air case, and guess what? It once again confirms that same new rectangular camera visor design. Initially, there were rumors that Apple might remove the bottom speaker, leaving only a single speaker at the top, which would have been a really strange decision. But thankfully, it looks like that's no longer the case. Another leaked case image shows the iPhone 17 Air inside, and once again, we see that same design with the camera visor and the dual speaker setup intact. Now, while all of this is exciting, one of the most eye-catching things about this phone is just how incredibly thin it's going to be. Even though this isn't an official leak, we got a really detailed 3D model of the iPhone 17 Air based on all the latest leaks, and seeing it in motion really puts things into perspective. At just 5.5 millimeters, this might be one of the sleekest, most futuristic-looking iPhones Apple has ever made, and honestly, I cannot wait to hold this thing in my hands. From the renders alone, it looks ridiculously good, and I might even switch to it as my main phone when it launches. But let's talk about materials. One thing that stands out in these leaks is that the iPhone 17 Air appears to be entirely made out of metal, which is a pretty interesting design choice. Jon Prosser recently posted a video showing a concept of the iPhone 17 Air, based on alleged photos he had seen, and in his version, the camera visor is made of glass, but the rest of the body is aluminum. That actually lines up with previous leaks about the iPhone 17 Pro models using a combination of metal and glass, so it would make sense for the 17 Air to follow a similar approach. However, there's one key difference. For the Pro models, the idea is to have a glass back for MagSafe, while the top section of the phone, including the camera visor, would be made out of metal. But with the iPhone 17 Air, it seems like the entire body might be aluminum, with only the visor made of glass. That raises an interesting question. How is Apple going to make wireless charging work if the entire back is metal? If we go back and take another look at the leaked photo from January, it really does seem to have a similar type of glass back that Apple is using on the iPhone 16 lineup. So I wouldn't be surprised if the final version still has a glass back for functionality. Now this is where things start to get really weird. Despite all the leaks pointing toward the iPhone 17 Air and iPhone 17 Pros having a similar rectangular camera visor, new information suggests that the iPhone 17 Pro models will actually be keeping the same triangular camera layout as the current models. A source called Instant Digital recently posted that the iPhone 17 Pro would still have the same camera positioning, and since then, multiple other leaks have backed that up. Jon Prosser even released a new concept based on actual photos he claims to have seen, and the design is, well, kind of bizarre. It still has the rectangular camera visor, but instead of the lenses being evenly spaced out, they're still arranged in a triangular formation and pushed over to the left side. And honestly, it looks weird. There's this huge empty space on the right side of the visor, which just feels unbalanced and out of place. Now, some people have suggested a possible solution. What if Apple used that extra space for a small secondary display? We've seen this concept before on some Android phones, where a small screen next to the camera modules can act as a selfie viewfinder, show notifications, or even display the time when your phone is sitting on a table. It's a cool idea, and it would definitely make that empty space feel more intentional. But realistically, I don't see Apple doing it. Adding a second display would increase costs, and knowing Apple, they would want to use a high-quality OLED panel, which would drive the price up even more. Plus, if Apple ever wanted to upgrade the camera sensors in the future, they would have to either shrink the display or remove it entirely to make room for larger lenses. That kind of design limitation just doesn't seem like something Apple would want to commit to. That being said, it looks like this odd camera layout is actually happening. Multiple sources have confirmed it, and even leaked CAD renders and camera molds show the same design. One possible reason Apple might be keeping the triangular camera layout is to ensure that spatial video still works properly. If they switched to a horizontal camera arrangement, spatial video wouldn't work unless they changed it from landscape to vertical, which would feel awkward. Keeping the current triangular positioning means they don't have to make any major changes to that feature. And then there's the standard iPhone 17, which has had almost no leaks until now. According to John Prosser, it's staying exactly the same as the iPhone 16, with no major design changes at all. So if all of this turns out to be true, we're looking at one of the strangest iPhone lineups Apple has ever released. The iPhone 17 will look just like the iPhone 16. The iPhone 17 Air will have a sleek, ultra-thin body with a Pixel-style camera visor. And the iPhone 17 Pro will have a large camera visor, but still keep a triangular camera layout. If you remove the Apple logo from all of them, they wouldn't even look like they came from the same company. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. Which design do you like the most? Personally, I think the iPhone 17 Air looks the best. If anything, Apple should just use that design language across the entire lineup. Sure, there might be some issues with spatial video, but at least the phones would feel more cohesive. Right now, it just feels like Apple is throwing different ideas at the wall and seeing what sticks. So, what do you guys expect from upcoming iPhone 17 lineup? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's it for now. If you want to stay updated on all things iPhone 17, don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.